I never wanted to make a freaking video like this, but we have to. Hey everybody, it's Marshall Monkey here, and this is going to be my The Flash Season 4 review, like as a whole. I've never really done a whole season review before, but I just stopped doing DC TV reviews because it was just too much. I mean, there's so many DC shows and Marvel shows that to do all the DC shows and then maybe talk about a couple Marvel shows, it's just too much. But I needed to talk about The Flash Season 4 because it was freaking awful. It was the worst season of The Flash. Probably the worst season of comic book television I have ever seen in my life. Okay? The writers had the audacity to give me this season. No. I say no. You know why? Because it was freaking bad. Like, they didn't even watch the season. I bet you they didn't even listen to the script that they wrote when they made this freaking script. It was bad. Like, really bad. First of all, freaking DeVoe is a bad villain. I hated DeVoe. What was his purpose other than just creating a bunch of metahuman powers for himself? Like, why didn't he just do that within the Cap or, like, find a way, right? I mean, I guess it's kind of cool that it was, like, a race to get all these powers, so he had to create these metahumans. But it's just, like, isn't there any other way you could have became all powerful without doing that? And why those specific powers? Like, did he know how every instance was going to turn out with those powers? Like, it was just weird how he figured all of that out. Like, it just didn't make sense to me, right? And then when he created Ralph for his body, I was like, I don't know. It was just off. Like, it just seemed weird, right? Like, it didn't seem realistic. I mean, I know it's a comic book TV show, and none of the Flash is realistic, but there's a point where you just can't go that far, and they did it, and they went that far, and it was just off, right? Like, it just, didn't you have that feeling in your stomach where it was like, you know what I mean? I just didn't like DeVoe. I didn't like it at all. Now, for Ralph, because we have to talk about him because he's the new big player this season, it took a while for me to get used to him. You know, to be honest, the series, the writers didn't make him that likable, to be quite honest. And that was supposed to be why he should be likable, but I just didn't feel it, right? Like, until, like, the very end of the season. Mid to end, I was like, okay, I'm getting used to Ralph. But it was a battle for me to get used to that character. As for the speedster characters that they usually bring in, like Jesse Quick and Jay Garrick, I feel like they just used those two characters as one-offs, right? Like, they used them as one-offs. It was just disappointing. Like, we didn't get any, meaningful appearances from either of these two. Maybe Jesse Quick, but I just feel like it still wasn't enough. And of course, they use these characters as one-offs usually, like before, like Jay Garrick and all that. They bring them in for one-offs, but they're meaningful. Like, make sense. Like, Jay Garrick showing up has always been like a ginormous event to me, right? Being like, okay, Jay Garrick is here. It's John Wesley Shipp. It's a meaningful episode. He has a teaching moment. They brought him in for a freaking filler episode with a bomb that didn't make sense. Like, it was so filler-ish that it was just disappointing. You know what was also disappointing? The bus metas. I hate the bus metas. Why? Because they were just awful. They were bad. They were poorly written, casted badly. They were annoying castings. I hated all of them. They weren't likable in the way that the villains should be. Like, season 1 metas, right? You were like, oh, that's so interesting. Oh, that's so cool. Like Girder, I can't name all the season 1 metas, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, they were interesting. These metas were just awful. They were annoying to look at, annoying to talk to. The fight scenes with Barry and the bus metas were just bad. They weren't great. They weren't innovative. They weren't perfectly executed. They weren't good at all. It was just disappointing, and I just didn't like the bus metas, to be used as like vessels for power. It was just weird. It was just really bad. Now, one person that I did like was Gypsy, but I'm just so mad they won't make her a series regular. I don't think she's going to come back as a series regular next season. I don't know why, because she's just that cool of a character. Like, she gives this new, like, refreshed feeling to the team that I just really feel like we need. Like, that doctor from last season, right? Tina was her name, right? Or that Tina McGee is with Mercury Labs, but you know what I'm talking about. The scientist from season 3 that they bring in to help with Savitar, right? Again, another character that they should make a series regular, right? They should make them more present within the show, right? Now, the opposite is for Amunet Black. I didn't like Amunet. I mean, she was kind of annoying. I did like the episode where she had to team up with Caitlyn and the team, you know? Because I was like, okay, that's a little bit more interesting. But I just feel like her whole character was like, like what, you know? You're just kind of like a side villain that isn't really that interesting. I mean, the black market metahuman thing, that was kind of cool to see kind of like that real world issue. But she just kind of correlated to Caitlyn's arc. Now, speaking of Caitlyn, I'm so upset with how the writers treated the Killer Frost story this season. What is even happening with Caitlyn and Killer Frost? Like, I don't even get it. I don't know what's happening with these two characters. It's like on and off, on and off. Like, which one are you? Are you Killer Frost or are you Caitlyn Snow, right? Like, the writers have had so much trouble. And then they rewrite her origin story. Like, with her having powers since she was little, before the particle accelerator even went off. Like, that's rewriting the show. Like, you can't do that. And I just don't see how they're gonna, like, dive into that storyline. To me, I feel like they should just make her a villain or just keep her as Caitlyn. But Caitlyn's not even a vital part of the team anymore. I was so excited when they first introduced Earth 1 Killer Frost, and the reveal was just so good. You can't deny that. Right? That just was so good. It was such a good moment. Now, my advice to them is to make Killer Frost and Caitlyn just one person, right? Kind of like the edgy version of Caitlyn we got in the beginning of Season 4, and she can still have her powers, but her personality changes and she's a bit darker, right? She doesn't have to be Killer Frost, she doesn't have to be Caitlyn Snow, just Caitlyn with a darker personality and the powers. I just don't see why that's not obtainable. I don't get it. I really don't. It was just so bad. I did like Cecile and Joe. I thought that they were really touching. I thought it was sweet. I didn't feel like they explored the repercussions of Caitlyn kidnapping Cecile, right? That could have been explored a little bit more, like Cecile having a problem with Caitlyn, but I guess not. I don't know. But I loved when Cecile had metahuman abilities, right, with her mind-reading power. It was so cool. And I loved that her pregnancy was kind of a big part of the season. I don't know why they didn't use her pregnancy more with the main storyline. Like, what if DeVoe needed the baby? What if this was all part of his plan? What if he kidnapped Cecile? Right? Like, that could have been more interesting. But I do like how Cecile is going to be a series regular, because that's just going to bring in more fun for Joe. And I'm so excited for that, because Joe is one of my favorite characters. Iris was the worst character this season. Iris was bad. Like, there's just it's no dodging it. Remember when Felicity was, like, memed up a lot during, what was it, like, season 3 and 4 of Arrow, right? And, like, everyone hated Felicity. I like Felicity now, but I hate Iris. Like, it's like they took the Arrow writers' room ideas with Felicity and just dropped them on Iris. First of all, why is she the leader of the team, right? That doesn't make sense. And I just think that she's been so cringy this season with a lot of the lines she's been given. No offense to Candace Patton. I love her, but her character gotta go. It's just gotta go. I hate it every minute of it.
I'm the Flash.
See, that's what you don't get. When I put this ring on my finger, it wasn't just about you or me anymore. It was about us. You are not the Flash, Barry. We are.
Are you sure about that?
There you have it. I don't even think I need to explain that, right? I mean, it just speaks for itself. Now, Tom Cavanagh is a great actor, but they have wasted him this season. I did like the idea of him coming to terms with the repercussions of the thinking cap, right? That was pretty interesting, and I did like where they left off with him. But the Council of Wells was atrocious. Like, why would you take Tom Cavanagh, such a brilliant actor, and make him go through that? I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come back, or if he just had a small stint on the show for season 5. Like, it was just that awful. I feel sorry for him, to be quite honest with you. And then Nora Allen. I think this was an interesting sort of like mystery egg thing, like Easter egg put throughout the show, like this season. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't know how I feel about her being brought in. Like, what is this going to do to season 5? It's just, it's new territory, but it's also dangerous ground. However, I do love Jessica Parker Kennedy. I've been a huge fan of hers since like Secret Circle, and that was like 2011. So I'm really excited for her to be brought onto the show just because she's a good actress. But I don't know, who knows what's going to happen in season 5 with that storyline, because it's just, I don't know, At this point, The Flash has just really disappointed me, and I know it's disappointed a lot of people. Like, we are The Flash? No! Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But what do you guys think of this season? Comment down below. Do you guys agree with everything I said in this review of The Flash Season 4? Are you looking forward to Season 5 and Nora Allen? And what do you think the show could do to certain characters like Killer Frost, Cecile, Nora? Like, what do you guys think about this? Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.